All right, I'm joined with two, not one, but two former morning men at the legendary 105.5 KNAC. I've got my buddy here, Thrash Pie, the guy I produced his show for a while.
Wake up screaming. Thrasher in the morning on Pure Rock 105.5 KNAC.
KNAC. With that by request from our old standby pal, Wiener in Anaheim. We're 626 now. And at Erect Nipple Day again, 54 degrees downtown.
Thrash Pie.
All right, I guess. Yeah. Halloween parties, I guess, starting tonight or this afternoon. So what you do is you keep KNAC, the all-request weekend, blasting at your house party, in your car, any other place you're going to happen to be, and call in your request. Veg, my hero. How are you, bro?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, Thrash.
So what are you going as on Halloween, Veg?
Well, now I don't know about Halloween.
What do you mean you don't know?
I haven't dressed up as anything in 10 years.
Oh, so, well, you don't need to, huh? You just kind of get your pillowcase and go out and collect some candy.
Yeah, I'll dress up like Alice Cooper or something.
There you go. So how about meeting me over at Medieval Times for Halloween night? We're having a big party, you know. I'm going as the Pope again. Of course.
The Pope?
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow, man. What's your sermon going to be like?
Oh, I don't know. I'll just mumble something about dominoes and get it over with kind of quick. Are you keeping up with the Veg? You sounded pretty hip this morning, pal.
Yeah, you know. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. There. Dangerous Darren and I are going to do this Medieval Times party Tuesday night for Halloween. So, I mean, you can go to the costume party even if you skip the feast and the show. So it's all getting underway, you know, about 8, 9 o'clock there. Veg, you holding on there, buddy? Okay. I'm going to have some free passes to give away to this Medieval Times thing, too, at Raintree for KNAC Night Monday. Right, Veg?
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Thrash Pie, my favorite guy.
Thank you.
Hey, geek, play that f***ing record, will ya?
Why, no problem. KNAC with Mike Monroe.
And then Gonzo Greg, who also held down the morning show for, how long did you do it, Gonz?
Damn, I don't remember. A few years?
Yeah,
Maybe
something like that.
2, maybe 3 at the outside.
Gonzo.
Okay, I'm going to call this. I got a sex line number here.
Oh, thank God.
It's 900. It's a sex information line, actually. It's not supposed to be too nasty.
Is it unisex for boys and girls?
Hello, this is the Institute for Advanced Study of Human Sexuality, Sex Information Network.
Okay, what do you want to know?
If you want to hear information about Am I Normal, press 1.
Oh, no, not
How
normal.
to function,
Yeah.
press 2.
How to function? How to function. 2. Let's do 2.
Okay.
If your question is about ways men masturbate, press 1. Ways women masturbate, press 2.
I saw that in a movie.
Finding time for sex, press 3.
We got time now.
Anal sex, press 4.
Let's press that
Oral
one.
sex, press 5.
Now let's press 5.
S&M, B&D,
Oh,
press 6.
that's the one. 6.
No.
Yeah. Come on.
SM, or sadomasochism, can also be called B&D, or
Okay.
bondage and discipline.
Denise, you already know all this.
SM is the consensual exchange of power with 2 willing partners,
That's us.
one person taking the lead
Okay.
and the other following.
So which of you?
Shade off of
For
me.
this can be the lead is the top,
Right.
the follower is the bottom.
Okay, so Denise, are you going to be on top?
Can be seen as the master
I'll
or
be on
mistress,
top.
You're going to be on top. All
the
right.
follower
Okay.
as the
How
slave.
do I make this
Although
stop?
both
You're the
have equal
slave now.
power,
Ooh, baby. I got some things I got you to do.
Mistress Denise now
First, down on your knees.
with the Pure Rec Report.
Lick my toes.
I'm licking.
Thank you.
Licking it here, Bob.
Oh, how appropriate. Chains required for the San Bernardino Mountains on your ski weekend. Whips, of course, optional.
You know, we have to remind our audience that it was 40 years ago that it started. It was 30 years ago that we went off the air. So if memory is not all there, and plus we're all older as well, so there may be some lies and misinformation goes out today, but that's all part of it as well, right, guys?
To the best of my recollection, Your Honor.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's start with 40 years ago. What got each of you involved in the new Pure Rock? And I'll start with Greg because his story is probably the most interesting.
I don't know if that's true, but no, I was working as an intern because I loved the rock and rhythm station. And I was dying to work there because they were playing this music that I loved, you know.
Which was the format prior to
Pure Rock. Yeah, so it was an alternative format, and it ended up kind of being and also ran to K-Rock because they had better signal and, you know, just all that. But yeah, they had decided to change the format, and I found out that day and came in to do my intern shift wearing my Oingo Boingo sweatshirt and hanging out and helping haul the records out of the studio while they were getting ready to change the format. So, yeah, I really had no business being part of Pure Rock. It wasn't my music. I wasn't into it at all. In fact, I outright hated it at the beginning. But when we lit it up, I realized, well, there's a lot of these songs I remember from growing up, you know, and when I was in junior high school and in high school. I didn't discover punk rock till I moved to Los Angeles in 78, 79 and kind of fell into that scene. So before that, yeah, there was stuff that was on the radio, you know, Priest and Iron Maiden and Aerosmith because I'm from New England. So I did my best to adapt.
And then you were an intern at that time, and then how did you get moved into being a jock?
Oh, yeah, so somebody didn't show up for work. I was interning there, and one of my jobs was to write out all the music logs by hand because the station couldn't afford one of these newfangled computers to schedule the music. So they give me this big box of index cards, Jimmy the St. Christopher, the program director at the time, giant box of index cards, each sorted by category, and I would pull out category A and write that on the appropriate place on the log and then put that in the back of the pile and take the next category. So I would be there 4 hours a night handwriting the logs out, and I was there on a Sunday night, and I think, I can't remember her name, but she was doing a Saturday or Sunday night weekend shift, and she was a leftover from rock and rhythm as well, and decided, screw it, I'm not doing this anymore, and just didn't show up. And so Jimmy Christopher says, all right, you're up, kid, and threw me in the booth. I'm like, okay, first I'm going to play the live version of Iron Maiden Run to the Hills, because that's about, 20 minutes or something, right? And then gave me a minute to think of who I was going to be, because we all had the stupid names, right? So we had a bunch of little Godzilla action figures all over the studio at that time. So I was nearly Godzilla Greg. But at the last minute, I remembered Hunter S. Thompson and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and so I just Gonzo Greg came out of my mouth, and then I played some Ozzy. And
perfect. The rest is history.
That's how it started.
The rest is history. Ted, how did you start?
Yeah,
I need to talk to you in your character. Thrasher, how did you get started at KNAC?
All right, it actually begins. My starting work there begins much earlier, like about on the probably 7th, 8th, or 9th of that January 1986, as the radio station had just flipped to metal. So Gonzo's on the air. I don't know who was on the air when I first heard it, but ironically, I was in Los Angeles visiting a radio buddy, and he says to me, "You got to hear this station because you'd be great on it." His name is Lou Simon. He was at KKHR, which was a hit station. We flipped it over there, and bang! Out of that tiny little speaker in the car came this monstrous sound. I think the first band that I heard, I think it was, maybe Metal Church, somebody like that. You know, we were playing a lot of that stuff then. That was, again, in January. So I was in Florida at the time on a rock station, one of those snoozers, you know, that's 45 minutes of nonstop classic rock. And I was real tired of that, so I can tell you. So anyway, I started sending tapes to every station that played music in Los Angeles. I got some nice letters from people saying, "Good tape, thank you very much." And I got some letters from people saying, "Don't ever call me again, you know, stay away. When there's no job here for you." So anyway, I sent tapes and tapes and tapes, one tape per month. Now this is, mind you, you got to look up those addresses in the phone book. There's no internet. There's no email. You got to carve your tape together with, tape and razor blades and put it on a cassette and mail it. So that's what I did. And the initial mailing was, I think, almost 80 tapes. So they spoke Spanish. I didn't care. I sent the tape. But anyway, that got whittled down. And soon thereafter, I left that station. Haven't heard anything from anybody in Los Angeles. And went back to where I started in radio in Charlotte, North Carolina, and was hanging out with buddies and doing some part-time on a couple of stations, one in Charlotte, one in Raleigh, blah, 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 blah. One day, I'm at the station WBCY in Charlotte, and I get this pink slip, how the telephone messages used to come through, and it says, call Jimmy Christopher at KNAC right away. Whoa, okay, so this was late September, I believe, 1986. I called Jimmy Christopher right away and got hold of him. And he said, yeah, I want you to do mornings at KNAC. I mean, it was like that. Not, hi, how are you? You okay? What do you, who are you? Just, can you start Monday? No, I can't drive from North Carolina to California between that and now. But anyway, worked out the scheduling and the driving, and I wound up in early October 1986. Started on the air like 2 or 3 weeks later because I had to get situated. You had to have a place to live and all that. So, and guess who was doing mornings before I got there? It was Gonzo. Gonzo was filling in at that point because they had fired some guy named the Lobster who used to do appearances in a lobster costume, of all things. So anyway, that's when I started. So, and my life changed 180 degrees from that moment. And that station just was on fire. There wasn't anything like it going on, which suited me incredibly because radio can be real boring if you're just playing all records, 45 minutes of them and then, expecting the world to turn. But KNAC was on fire. The kids who listened to it, I mistakenly thought they were all like 16. But nope, the mean age of average listener at that point was like 22, 23. That's mean. That means some, below 22, half above. So it was just an incredible experience to start that because the kids were ravenous. The audience was ravenous. And that hadn't happened before to me anywhere. But I was totally ready for it. They're totally ready for it. And so tremendous things happened to me there. It was just awesome.
Well, let's talk about specific events or things you did on the air that were interesting or whatever. Let's start with Gons. I have a favorite, but if you have another one, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Well, I mean, everybody remembers my buddy Stu jumping off the Vincent Thomas Bridge pictured behind you there. Stu was fairly new to the station when I ended up doing mornings after Thrasher got pissed off and quit. So I got thrown
That's a good story, too.
Yeah, that's a good one. So I got thrown in doing mornings, and Stu was production, and I'm in there trying to do mornings by myself, and I had barely figured out how to do nights at that point. So I'm like, every morning show has a couple of idiots on the air in the morning. Can Stu come in and help me? And they allowed it for a time. So Stu, along the way, so we did it for a while, and we were starting to get a groove. And Stu, I don't know how, and we'll have to ask him, managed to connect with the guys that work on the bridge. And under the bridge, there's all these platforms and stuff where they do maintenance. And he connected with these guys, and this was about the time that bungee jumping was coming into vogue. And so Stu, being younger than me, and I don't think I was even drinking age at that point, maybe just turned 21. Stu, being a little bit more adventurous, is like, I'll do it. And so he's like, yeah, we'll bungee jump off the bridge. Yeah, both of us will bungee jump off the bridge and we'll broadcast it live. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do that. So somehow we made it happen. I told my new bride about it, and she said no. You are a father of a new child. You're not allowed to. So I was off the hook. I didn't have to do it. So Stu made all the arrangements to get us. It was all clandestine. You'd never be able to do it nowadays. And so we worked it all out.
Pre 9/11. So
yeah. So there'd be no way to do it today. So I made most of the arrangements. By hook and by crook, we broadcast the thing from an old bag cell phone, one of those big Motorola things. Somehow plugged a mixer into it. I got a wireless lavalier mic for Stu, taped it to his face, a little mic on his face with a transmitter pack in his back pocket, and somehow it made the transmission from the bottom of the bridge there and to, where were we? Probably in San Pedro, where the LA radio studio was. So in that neighborhood. Right. So he jumped off the bridge and we made it happen. It was kind of a miraculous thing. And then the cops came. Well, the Coast Guard, I guess. I think it was the Coast Guard. They said if he goes in the water, he's under arrest. So Stu, of course, jumped again, and they adjusted the bungee so he would just dunk his head in the water and fly back up again. Then I guess they cranked him up. I don't know. These are details for Stu. But the bungee jump, it was on a Friday the 13th. So the idea was to, challenge fate, jump off a bridge on Friday the 13th. We invited all the news media to come cover it. And they did, but very little of it made it on the air because it was that day that there was a big, was there an earth? No, the freeway collapsed. They were building one of the tunnels for the metro rail or whatever, and one of the tunnels collapsed, and that blocked out everything else on the news. So we got maybe 10 seconds at the end of the newscast. So it was,
The audio is historic from that.
It really is.
The longest, loudest human scream recorded.
It really is pretty epic, yes. That's Stu's claim to fame.
Hi, Stu and Gonzo are not really going to do that bungee cord thing tomorrow, are they?
Well, we had a coin toss. Stu is jumping off the Vincent Thomas Bridge.
He can't.
Why not?
Because he might get hurt.
Yes, what if he gets hurt?
Oh, man, come on, Stu.
It's only 15 stories. Wow. Well, this certainly adds a new dimension to the excitement, doesn't it?
Well,
the old death dimension.
Stu should jump naked.
Well, and maybe we should attach the bungee to his...
Yeah, possibly.
No.
Mornings on Pure Rock 105.5 KNAC.
Oh, Stu.
Yeah.
Okay, Thrasher, tell your story, whichever one. Yeah. And there are multiple stories, so pick one.
Oh, shucks! Don't cut it out. I'm flattered enough. So I'm gonna run through three pretty quick, I think. First one is the Monsters of Rock 1988, biggest promotion I've ever been involved in, and certainly little KNAC ever involved in. It's 1988.
And Gonzo was involved in that too.
Oh yeah, you were. Yes, you were. I'm getting to Gonzo.
Yeah, I was there. Yep.
Gonzo was one of the culprits. And anyway, so the Monsters of Rock is going on. Don Dokken is singing them to sleep. We had I forgotten what. Yeah, he was just before Metallica, I think. Metallica comes on stage, and we're up in the press box at the Los Angeles Coliseum. 80,000 people, sold out. As soon as Metallica hit the stage, one note, boom, every seat in the Coliseum, in the upper decks and so forth, emptied onto the field and smashed themselves all up against the stage there, which was down in one of the end zones, right? So while that happened, I'm standing there next to our general manager, Gary Price, and he's saying, "Hey, Thrasher, I want you to meet, what's his name from Avalon Productions?" I forgot his name. Anyway, I say, "Well, hi," shakes hands. He said, "I need you to go down and go on stage and, calm the crowd down." I said, "Oh, thanks, pal." But at that moment, boom, they pulled the plug on Metallica. Silence in the Coliseum. And so I follow him down, and he takes me backstage, and he says, "Now go up there and try to calm everybody down. Don't mention that the bands are, done. The concert's not over. And he's holding me by the arms, and looking right in my face, like, Rocky and, whoever is trained, Burgess Meredith. Now, kid, go out there and, do all this. And as he pushes me towards the microphone, he says, "Oh, yeah, and they might throw chairs." Oh, great. This is wonderful. I didn't bring a helmet. But anyway, I went out there and made my my little announcements. Everything chilled out for a few minutes. The weird part for me was looking out over 80,000 people who were just kind of, it becomes one big amoeba, a worm that's just kind of flowing. And the sound from your microphone takes about 2 seconds to hit the back wall and then come back. So anyway, so it's just kind of strange like that.
Pure Rock KNAC live from the Coliseum at the Monsters of Rock. It is getting ugly, baby.
Thrasher, this is incredible. All hell is broken loose at the Coliseum. As soon as Metallica took the stage,
listen to this just for a second. This crowd has absolutely turned nuts over this thing. The security guards are trying to hold the people down in the upper sections of the arena to no avail. The people are streaming down onto the floor of the Coliseum, mobbing the front of the stage. It's the music that's driving them forward. The band doesn't seem to be beseeching them to come down at all. It's absolutely nuts.
It looks now that the security force has given up on the sides here, and they're concentrating entirely on the front of the stadium, all to try to keep them off stage. But actually, it doesn't look like anybody's trying to get on stage itself. They just wanted to get down to the Coliseum floor to get a closer look.
It was a near riot when Metallica took the stage here on the Monsters of Rock.
What exactly did happen there, Paul? Do we know yet?
Well, right in the middle of the Metallica set, well, specifically right in the middle of Whiplash, either the plug got pulled
or something blew up.
They had stopped the show for about 8 minutes. When the music stopped, everybody on the floor of the Coliseum started passing their chairs up to the front.
They're kind of rearranging the furniture. I don't know if there was an order issued to pass your chairs to the front or not, but...
Pure Rock KNAC, Southern California's only continuous live coverage of the Monsters of Rock.
But there are other fun ones. One morning, Mike was my producer at this point, so it was probably 93, 4, 5 maybe.
Yeah.
And right towards the end, and I was working the clubs at night a lot, to pile up some cash because I knew rent was going to be due and that I wasn't going to be getting a paycheck, pretty soon. So I come in one morning and, dragged ass in there. And, pretty soon I had to go to the can bad. And I went into the bathroom and I thought, I'll give myself a little time on this record so that I can get back in before the next break. I put on the long version of Killing in the Name of, which you'll remember has a lot of, bad words in it. Let's call it
But we
that.
had an edited version.
Yes, we did. But Thrash Pie needed some more time in the can. So I'm in there, door's locked, and I'm doing my thing, and I hear this, and it's Stark on the bathroom door. He said, "You know where this is going, don't you?" And so I go, "Oh man!" But there was no way I could finish, and without some serious mess going on. But anyway, I get back into the studio, and I'm thinking, "Oh, this is it." It was only like about 20 minutes after 6, and I kept looking at the hotline to ring and say, "Hey, dummy, you've really done it this time." No hotline ringing, no, genitals on a platter, no, last permanent vacation day.
You did start taking requests and answering the listener phone.
Oh, yeah,
right?
I did.
After the Killing in the Name of had gone full force to the end.
The spicy version, right.
Yeah, with all the expletives and everything. So
exactly. And some guy called up and said, "Thrasher, you're my god, man. That is my jam." And just, I couldn't take that. I couldn't take all the accolades this dude was throwing at me. And then at the very end, he says, "Can I get a T-shirt?" It's typical. All right. The next one is, all right, very much towards the end of, or rather, end of the broadcast life of KNAC. And I was doing a stupid bit that I'd ripped off because I wasn't, I was being super lazy at the time. It was top 10 Courtney Love something or other.
No,
I can't even remember. Kurt Cobain, Courtney Love was involved. Anyway, I said something stupid.
Things are going from good to better, says Dr. Osvaldo Galetta, the head of the intensive care unit at the private clinic on the outskirts of Rome, where Kurt Cobain is recovering after taking an overdose of tranquilizers and alcohol early Friday. According to a report in a Rome Daily, Cobain's first request after emerging from a coma was for a strawberry milkshake. Dr. Galetta says Cobain won't be suffering any permanent damage as a result of the hours spent in a coma, and says the singer would probably be allowed to leave the hospital within a few days.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kurt Cobain.
Hi, Thrash Pie.
Listen, we're real glad to hear that you made it through this ordeal. Although you're coming under some scrutiny here now for popping dope all the time. What's your deal? What happened, Kurt?
Well, it was a bad cannoli. I know the doctors blamed it on champagne and drugs, but I'm telling you, I know how to take drugs, and this problem was not drugs. It was a bad cannoli.
Well, there was a lot of concern here about your condition.
Well, not as much concern as I had hoped. As you know, Thrash Pie, in utero is starting to slip off the charts, so I thought this coma thing might generate some sales. But just when I started getting the press, I got robbed of the headlines from that jerk John Candy.
Oh, my. Yeah, unfortunate his death over the weekend. Some people thought you were a goner after John's death because, the theory is that celebs die in threes.
Well, it almost happened, but I was saved by a horrible nightmare I had during the coma. I dreamed that the band decided to replace my dead ass with David Lee Roth and Vince Neil. That immediately snapped me out of it.
They look like the Nelsons up there, huh?
Yeah.
So you're telling me this coma stuff was all just a publicity stunt, Kurt?
Yeah, well, I needed to get some press quickly because John Wayne Bobbitt is about to announce a name change.
Get out of here.
Yeah, he now wants to be known as Les Johnson.
Correct!
Hey, Thrasher.
Yeah.
Here comes the nurse with my strawberry milkshake. I gotta go.
Later, man.
Play some Slayer.
You got it.
Wake up screaming. Thrasher in the morning on Pure Rock 105.5 KNAC.
I'm ready to it's about quarter of, I'm ready to do a changeover, get out of the studio, go home. And Aisa calls me on the hotline. Aisa was our, the front receptionist. She deflected and accepted, or, she was the queen of the gate right there. And I got a message. She said, Thrasher, Courtney Love called. She was really kind of upset. Here's her phone number. Just give her a call after work and, just calm her down a little bit. And I go, I'm not calling Courtney Love. She's come down here with an axe or something. She was nuts. So anyway, that happened again. Another call from Aisa after I ignored the first one. And she says, you really, man, you got to do this. And I said, just please tell her I'm sorry. And could you handle it for me? She goes, she hangs up. Next phone call from Aisa about 2 minutes later says, Gary, that's Gary Price, our general manager, says, you need to call Courtney Love right after work. I go, okay, well, if Gary says it, it's going to happen. So I get this pink slip. I get a phone number on it. And I go into the jock room and shut the door and call this number. And I say, hi, it's me, Thrasher from KNAC. I need to speak to Courtney Love, please. And this woman on the other end starts this crazy psycho, total, every word is a cuss word. You are a blank, blank sucker. You are a mother, blank, blank. And it goes on. It's this tirade. And about 45 seconds, a minute, and then she, bang, hangs up the phone. Oh, boy. So I go, what do I do now? I said, I got to go tell Gary. So I walked down the hall, and I noticed that everybody in the building, it didn't make any sense to me, but all the people who were sitting in the sales department, the staff, they were all kind of doing, this as I go by. So I thought, oh, they've already gotten the word that I'm fired. So anyway, I go in, Gary's secretary, lovely Tina Herrera, what's her name? And she says, Gary's expecting you. And I go, okay. So I go in, I sit down, I talk to Gary, I tell him everything. And I'm sitting over there and he's looking at me just stone-faced. And he said, let's get Val, our promotions director, in on this because she's going to need to talk to those label people or whatever, some gaslighting stuff. So in comes Val. She sits next to me and he says, would you just go over everything that happened with Val? So I'm starting over again with this whole mess. And then all of a sudden I noticed that Val was turned and looking at me directly. Like, if I looked at her, I'm looking at her face. And she hasn't said a word. And then all of a sudden, she starts ripping into me with the exact verbiage that I had heard on the phone from Courtney Love. And I'm looking at her, and it took me about 20 seconds to figure out, oh, God. I look over at my general manager, Gary Price, and he's just going, look at you. He said, you should have seen your face. So, Ken, the whole, it's such a testament to how tight we all were that everybody in that building was in on that prank. Everybody. I've never heard of that before. It's the best radio prank I've ever been involved with. And, quite honestly, after I changed my underwear, I was okay. It was very funny. God almighty. That was something else.
No, good stories. Good stories, without a doubt. Okay, well, that brings us up to the current times. And suddenly, KNAC makes a reappearance, of all places, out in the middle of the frickin' desert.
Yes.
Tell us how this happens, Gonz.
Well, let's see. So a number of years, I've been working for a number of years for the highway radio stations, and a lot of people who live in Los Angeles are familiar with that because those are basically the only radio stations you can listen to when you drive to Las Vegas. You get to the Cajon Pass, from there that long haul out to Vegas. There's not a lot of choices out there. In those stations, back in the 70s, Howard Hughes, that was his idea. I'm going to buy these radio stations, and they're going to talk about everything that's going on in Vegas. And they're still around, and they're hanging on, such as they are. And they have a pop station, and they have a country station, of course. And they had a rock station, which was pretty rockin'. So I've been working with them and did the best I could with the rock station. But it became apparent that there was an opportunity here to resurrect a legendary brand. And I'm like, well, wouldn't it be cool if we could just call it KNAC? And we couldn't, of course. The call letters were, I don't know, in Northern California or somebody was, I don't know, somebody had them. It wasn't available. And I had forgotten about it for a long time. But I had moved the radio station's format in a kind of retro-style KNAC format. And so it was kind of that already. We were just lacking the ability to actually call it KNAC. And then, one night on a whim, I'm farting around on the computer, and I'm like, I wonder if the call letters are available. And I'm like, sure, right. I type it in, and holy crap, they are! So
whoa, yeah.
that began the process, which was a long time coming. There was legalities and stuff like that, but we've made it through. We got the call letters, and Pure Rock KNAC is now on 96.9 it actually broadcasts from Lenwood, which is basically Barstow, and serves from Victorville, so from the Cajon Pass out to around Baker. There's another station in Baker that's on 94.9, and it's in Las Vegas on an HD3 channel on 99.7. So it is KNAC to the best extent that we can make it today. It's a tightrope walk, figuring out what it would sound like today. I wasn't there at the end like you guys were, so I was out in 91, I think, if I recall. So there's a very big gray area for me as to, I missed grunge at KNAC and how you guys dealt with it. I was in Philadelphia around that point and working for a rock station that was trying to figure out how to do the same thing. Right. And so I think that we're doing a pretty good job of walking that tightrope, of playing the stuff that people remember from the beginning, from, you know, 86, and maybe moving more away from the grunge and bringing back more of the hair, but trying to find the right balance, and certainly playing what is new hard rock today. Hard rock is actually doing fairly well nationwide as a radio format. There's a lot of hard music out there that's very popular. So finding the balance between new and old, and being fair and kind and true to the brand that is KNAC is really what we're trying to do.
Well, I'm biased, but I think you're doing a tremendous job. And you're also, I was thinking about this yesterday, you know, most of the people that listened to KNAC back 30 years ago are now in their 50s and 60s.
Sure, yeah.
So they have evolved musically as well. And I think you have factored that into a lot of the stuff that you're playing on the air now. Am I wrong there?
No, I think so. I mean, I'm not going to say how many decades I just turned, but there's a 6 in the number. So, you know, I kind of understand. You know, I think nostalgia is a huge. You know, nostalgia is a powerful drug, as we say. So I think that factors into it, and I think. The years of chasing advertising, you know, based on the 25 to 54 demographic, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I think that's less important if you can find a hardcore, dedicated, true audience that is passionate about the product you're creating. And I think if more radio stations just told Nielsen to take a hike and said, we're going to make a product that people are going to be passionate about and interact with them however necessary. Used to be on the phones all the time. Now we're all on the phone or on our, you know, on the socials. We got to integrate that. And if we embrace that, I think you can make a successful, profitable venture out of the thing.
I was just going to say, the way you have that station rocking and moving forward at that pace was something that I was enamored with the original KNAC. We did a lot more talking and played, you know, more music, you know, without just segued tunes after tunes in some instances. And I always thought that with the energy that thing puts out, I hate to put it in the same category as a top 40 radio station, but it needs to move forward at that pace. The radio station just needs to keep going. So you're almost afraid to stop because you feel like you're going to miss something.
Well, that was one of the original design factors when the format originally signed on under the consultancy of Jeff Pollock, was that it was the formatics were kind of a top 40. I think he kind of invented the rock 40 format without knowing it. When the station originally signed on, it was a rock station. It wasn't metal. We played metal, but it wasn't metal. We were playing Journey in Boston and stuff like that at the beginning.
And the Stones.
And the Stones were in there too, yeah. And we phased that out, and it found its own footing. So I think that's a big part of what I'm trying to bring back, and that's what I feel when I think about it. So that's, I think, what's coming through with the thing that we're doing now. But what you say about talking a lot and people being on the radio station is important, and that's something that I definitely want to bring to this thing. It's just it's a matter of budget right now. Our home market is Barstow, California, and there's a very limited advertising base. And if you narrow that down to the metalheads in Barstow, there's a lot, but we need to hit Victorville, and we need to market to Vegas. And once we get a little bit of some nickels coming in, we can have some people on the air talking about the music and bringing the audience in.
Yeah, and I know we're biased, of course, but I think you are heading in the right direction based on what I hear every day.
Well, thank you. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
Right. Me too.
Yeah, we all want this to work because it's a great legacy to have continue, and we're all part of it, so we want it to happen. Now, In January, we'll be celebrating actually the actual 40th anniversary of the sign-on of Pure Rock. And we're going to do that at the Whiskey A Go Go, of all places, the legendary Whiskey A Go Go. And I'd like to have Greg, who kind of came up with the original idea, he got with you and I on this initially, and then we started bringing people in. Now we don't have to do anything because everybody else is doing it. But you decided it'd be a good idea to have a 40th anniversary party.
I thought it would be a great idea, and now I'm up to my eyeballs in making it happen. So maybe it wasn't such a great idea. No, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great, and weirdly enough, it is on the actual anniversary of the sign-on of Pure Rock KNAC, which was January 8th of 1986, and that was just kind of a fluke coincidence. The whiskey was available that day, so we're like, okay, let's do it that day. And the whiskey was so integral to all the music of the late 80s, that all the bands on the Sunset Strip putting up their flyers and doing that stuff. It seemed like the place to do it. So,
well, Gonzo, give us the details.
Well, the key is to check KNAC40.com, and that'll give you most of what I'm looking at right now, because I can't keep it straight because there's so much going on. The key thing was we drug as many of us on-air weirdos out of the woodwork to come out and be part of it. So Thrasher's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Dangerous Darren is going to be there. Long Paul, Stu, Remy the Max Maxwell, Filthy Phil, the Razor Jack Trash, Anna the Animal Lee. Easy for her to say. Marie the Minx is going to be there. Craig Williams, who did the local show. Greg Steele and Brian Schock and Tom Marshall, former program directors, are all on tap. Michael Davis is supposed to be there as well. So we've got all those people. The ringmaster of the thing will be Ricky Rackman, who most people kind of remember from MTV and Headbangers Ball, but some of us remember he was actually a KNAC DJ and hosted Radio Cat House, which is where he got his radio legs on, I think, was that Saturday nights that he did that
Sundays.
show? Sunday nights? Yeah. So that's why he's there. Now, in terms of bands, we've got members of Armored Saint. So there's going to be Q&A sessions. So it's not just a concert. There's not just bands playing. We're going to be there talking about telling stories like this and telling stories we can't tell on the radio for various reasons. Things that happened behind the scenes that probably haven't been, revealed before. But full-on live performances by Once Bitten, which is basically a great white legacy band, a tribute to Jack Russell. Love Hate, which was a band that KNAC broke. Little Caesar, again, I think they were on one of our local show albums that we put out. And I think the world is most excited by the appearance, for the first time in decades, of KNAC's own Toxic Undershorts, which some of you know includes members of the air staff, including Remy Maxwell and Stu and who am I forgetting? Who else? Oh, Dangerous Darren. Yeah, that guy.
Crazy Craig.
Crazy Craig also in that band. Also being part of the Q&A and stuff, Tammy Down from Faster Pussycat, Jamie St. James from Black and Blue is going to be there, guys from Odin showing up, Doug Aldrich he's been in Dio and is now in Dead Daisies and stuff, and the list is evolving every day. So right up to the day of, there's no telling who's going to be there. And these, if anybody remembers any of the old KNAC anniversary parties, people would just show up and go, "Hey, I want to play," and so there's no telling what's going to happen. So that's the thumbnail sketch. Just check KNAC40.com and get all the info.
Get your tickets today.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as part of that, on the Monday prior to that, we're going to do at KLBP here in Long Beach on this here radio station that we're talking to you on now, we're going to be doing a KNAC Takeover. And that will start at 12 midnight on the 5th, which is actually Sunday night, 12:01, and going until 7 p.m. And what that will consist of is 19 hours of actual programming from back in the day. Full shows. It'll include our buddy Thrash Pie here. There's going to be a segment, a couple segments with Gonzo Greg. A full shift from Ton Mastery, the great Ton Mastery, who was with us and is no longer with us. Dangerous Darren, Long Paul, Greg Steele. There's going to be actual air checks of all of those people and unscoped. The music's going to be part of it as well. That's going to run for 19 hours. The last 2 hours of that takeover is going to be the last 2 hours that the station was on the air, which is also legendary on its own. Then at 7 p.m., we go live next door at the bar next door to the radio station, which is called the Secret Island. I think it's called the Secret Island Tiki Bar. That's what it is. And we're going to have a on-air reunion of as many jocks as we can get together. A lot of Thrasher is going to host that, and we're going to spend 2 hours telling tales. And these will have to be radio tales because we'll be on the air, but they'll be great stories nonetheless. And if you're a listener to KLBP or if you are a listener to KNAC, you can join this party at the Tiki Bar. It's free admission. Come on down, and we may even do a Q&A. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be kind of a loosey-goosey type of thing, but Ted's looking forward to this, I know, right?
No, I absolutely am. Yeah. So 2 hours of being actually on the radio again, live. Wow, that's a fun thing to do. And all the people that are coming. But I want to make sure that everybody knows that Mike Stark is not just the and more, on your little computer thing. ... and more. No, Mike produced all of this stuff.
I pride myself in the and more.
And another backup. Hold on. I'm not through. The last 2 hours of produced genius on the actual KNAC radio station was your idea. Brian Schock was our PD at that time, and he was, I'm sure, buried in all kind of madness. And if you hadn't brought that up to him, there would have been no historic end to that radio station. It would have just gone off the air, and that would have been that. And we'd all go home and cried. But so take your accolades as they are necessary for you, my friend. But I'm excited about this thing. It's going to be on the 5th of January, starting at midnight on that day and running all that time. Wow. Big show, and you're to be congratulated on doing all that. So I'm looking forward to being there. It's going to be fun,
and it's going to be a good warm up for the 8th as well. So
yes,
get your tickets for the 8th. Plan on coming down on the 5th and joining us if you can at the Secret Island Tiki Bar. What's more KNAC than that, right? And and anyway, we'll all have a great time at both events. I want to thank both of you guys for doing my show this week. I appreciate that. You guys are good friends. And that's that's something I was thinking about before we started too. We've all worked at a lot of radio stations, and I can count on one hand the number of people that I have as close friends today that I worked with around various radio stations, and most of them are from KNAC.
Yep, me too.
The clowns I worked with in Indianapolis would always make fun of me because I didn't have any real friends. All my friends are people that I worked with on the radio, and like Mike, like you say, most of them from KNAC.
So you can meet all the friends at one or both events. Hopefully, you can make it both events, and we will see you all then. And thanks again, guys.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, buddy. See ya.
Party on, Wayne.